Very good.
Some conservative pundits have proclaimed that while 2014 will favor the GOP, 2016 is no sure bet, at least according to them. Our next guest says he has a plan, though, that could make it favor the GOP, and it's a simple plan at that. Follow the path of President Reagan. Frank Donatelli wrote that editorial for Real Clear Politics. He's chairman of GOPAC and a former assistant to President Ronald Reagan. It's nice to have you on the program, Frank.
Hi, Jenna. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing great today, despite the rain outside. Let's talk a little politics. It's interesting. You really say there's a plan here. There's a path that the GOP can follow. What is it, Frank?
Well, it's very simply two things. Where 1980 and I think 2016 share similarities. Number one, as soon as Ronald Reagan decided to run for president in 1980, he was not content with just winning Republican votes. Republicans were a minority party then, and we are now. And so he knew he needed to reach out beyond the Republican base and aggressively campaign for votes in areas that had not voted Republican before. That's number one. Number two, he knew he would have an opportunity to tell his story because the incumbent administration at that time, President Carter, just as the incumbent administration today and Mr. Obama, is presiding over a very bad economy. Unemployment is high, the deficit is high, economic growth, the country is not growing. And so Reagan knew that he would have an opportunity to tell his story to groups that had not voted Republican in the past. So I think there's an avenue there for our nominee in 2016 to follow the same path.
Do you think the GOP as a whole understands that?
I do. I mean, look, when you lose as badly as we did in 2008 and 2012, especially 2012, when a year conventional political wisdom would have told you we should have won, I think it tells you that if all we do is just get the Republican base, we're going to lose again. And so I am happy to see senators and governors already talking to college campuses. They're taking the Hispanic vote seriously. They're talking about young people. They're talking about appealing to women. I think our nominee, if they're going to be successful, has to campaign in such a way in the primaries that it leads to a further discussion with these groups in the general election.
Politicians and pundits alike often refer to Reagan as an ideal, you know, kind of this ideal character to look fondly back on and try to emulate in ways that you're explaining as far as strategy. But it is about the messenger as well, Frank, isn't it? The person that actually executes that strategy. Who do you see achieving that? Who do you think would be the most successful of the field so far?
Jenna, the messenger is very important. There's no question about that. But just remember this. Ronald Reagan became a transformative figure. But he was not a transformative figure when he decided to run for president in 1979. He was thought to be too old. He was thought to be too far to the right. And surprisingly, he was thought to be unsophisticated in the ways of governing. Those all proved to be false, and he ultimately became a great leader. I think, honestly, we have potentially the best class of candidates in 2016 that we've had going all the way back to 1980. These are men and women of accomplishment. Many of them are governors. Some of them are senators. They're all serious.
And who? And just before we leave, I know maybe you don't want to say a name, but I'm sure our viewers are curious. Since your experience in government, Frank, is there a name that you're watching? Maybe a name that we're not even considering on a regular basis or in polls that you're going to keep an eye on?
I'm not going to mention one name. I will say there's a good crop of governors. There's at least 4 or 5 of them that would make good presidents, and there's a couple of senators too. Marco Rubio, Rand Paul are good. Governor Walker, Governor Christie, former Governor Bush. The point is that all of these individuals are serious men that have thought seriously about the problems we face. And again, given the record of this administration, I think the public is going to be interested in an alternative view of how we grow this economy and create economic opportunity.
Well, coming up, we're going to be talking to a panel on young voters to see who they're really thinking about and where they see the opportunity as well. Frank, when you're ready to name names, we're ready to have you back. We'll have you back regardless, okay. Frank. I appreciate it. Great to have your expertise. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Well, Russia denies it.